Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Clusterpuck Podcast, part of the MHRT Network here at Center Ice. I am Nick. Beside me here, number one all-star this side of the Mississippi, it is Britt. How are you feeling right now, Britt?
Good. I'm tired. I feel like I've been playing hockey all weekend. Been watching hockey, so it's been a lot of hockey this weekend.
I know, and it's at this time where
How's it going?
we finally get to have our rest, and it's like too little, too late. You know, they got the whole week of rest, right? So we just hit the All-Star break. It's come and gone now. I guess first things first. What's thoughts on the All-Star weekend? Let's hear what you have to say.
I thought it was okay. I definitely don't have the disdain that the rest of the entire internet seems to have. I thought it was pretty cheesy. I think there was so much filler stuff. Like the skits were super cheesy, like with Mitch Marner and stuff. Like these guys are not very funny. It's like a cringe funny almost. I don't know if that's like exactly what they're aiming for, but it was pretty painful to watch some of them. But I thought it was pretty interesting. I really am disappointed that they're not going harder for the breakaway challenge. I still want to see like legit breakaways. I get what they're doing, but
yeah,
I still really want legit breakaways. That's my biggest disappointment. And then the wipeout, which we'll get to. But yeah, I don't hate them nearly as much as everyone else. I think people get so worked up about it, but it's just my kid loves it.
Yeah. And that's about, I mean, it's kind of become more of an entertainment value and a spectacle more than it has been an actual skills showcase. It's talking about the skills competition. But yeah, I mean, it was, I don't know, it just kind of meh, you know, it had a lot of hype, a lot of potential. You know, they had the announcement of where it was and the jersey release and all this kind of hype, and they announced what types of games you can have. I don't know. And then it just kind of, yeah, and then it just kind of just fell short. Now, that being said, there were a few things that were actually really fun, like the dunk tank challenge one actually ended up being pretty good.
Yeah, I like that.
You know, there were those that had its moments, right? And you were kind of excited for it, but just you know, with the combination of the broadcasts and the fact that there were just ads all over the place, and you know, and they didn't really run it in order. Yeah, exactly. It just there were just a lot they could have done that they just fell short on, you know, but ultimately that's kind of what it's been as far as status quo goes for the last, you know, 5-6 years, and it's kind of getting, you know, this one was the most exciting with hype, and then it just, you know.
Yeah, and see, I thought last year was good. This year, it just didn't feel like hardly anything actually showcased talent. Like we're not like showcasing anything. So I don't like when you've got who is it? Svechnikov won the fastest skater. Like it's nobody. It's just not I don't know. The hardest shot one was I like the like legit. I like the most of the old school ones the most honestly. But I thought that the dunk tank was pretty funny. It was crazy out there seeing what's his face. Was it Sorokin and Fox? But he was shooting with his goalie stick, like watching him just bomb those pucks with his goalie stick. Crazy how far those pucks are like landing in the middle of the ocean if they miss those boards. Holy cow, they went
crazy stuff. Yep.
And that one, I'm sure everybody. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. But you're absolutely right, and it was so. I think it was Shesterkin and Fox and you're just right. I mean, it was really fun to see that there was still some kind of entertainment in for them as well. They get to dunk, you know, whoever.
I was gonna say, and that one was at least actual motivation beyond the cash.
Yeah.
They want to dunk there's
there's a lot kind of going for it as far as you want to win it just to dunk somebody else. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So kind of going into that, then let's talk about how the Avs did in the All-Stars skills event. So first one was Cale Makar in the fastest skater competition. Now, before we get into that, though, it was really fun to see that they all actually wore their reverse retros for
they look good.
The competitions and stuff. It ended up being a pretty cool thing. Say that again.
Did you see Makar's gloves for the games? Like all the custom stuff was so good. Like I loved the Miami Vice. Like, oh, they went hard on that. Mitch Marner skates were really good. Awesome. But
They
yeah,
a lot of
Kale had
people went all
the
out.
gloves. Yeah, that might have been my favorite part was seeing like all the goalie gear reveal and the skates and stuff. There's a lot of good gear. That pink and blue
Yes,
were
it
good. I
was.
loved that Miami Vice vibe.
It was the only thing I wish that they did as far as those jerseys went. I mean, UC Saros kind of could have played the game as well and got some colors, but that's whatever.
Mhm.
It was a big clash with the Miami
Yeah.
Vice teal and pink and his mustard yellow pads, but
No, I don't
you
know. He
know,
must be really attached, or the fact that it's taking like almost a year for like the peasants like us to get custom gear. So I don't know if they couldn't get them in the however long they had, but yeah.
yeah,
The new
I
puppy
don't know.
I forgot. Allie was asking. I think we've been calling him Captain. I think we're pretty set on that. So he's
Captain.
the landest. Yeah, so we've been calling him Captain, and it's going
There
from
you go.
he's being a baby. One of our big dogs stepped on his foot. I think he was squealing like a little pig before we came in here.
Well, very
He's
good.
pretty pathetic.
So we got the name of the dog, and
Yes,
so we're set on that. Then is that
I
what
think
you're
so.
saying?
Yeah, yeah. We've been calling him Landy and Cap and Captain and Landis
Oh, there
dog.
you go.
Yeah, I think
Captain's
he'll come about anything. So
there you go. There you go. Even all the profanities you scream at him when he's getting in the dog
yep,
food when he's not supposed to.
yep. The little ones I can't reach anything.
There you go. So okay, so back to the skills then. So Cale Makar, we'll talk about the abs and how they did here. So Cale Makar, he had long story short, friends, he blew a tire in the last corner, fell, crashed right into the boards. And as soon as he went down, he kind of made his signature Cale Makar face, where he was like, he sticks his tongue out and he's like, he kind of tries to play it off like a joke, but
I know, and you gotta
I'm kind of, yeah, I just kind of feel like he's like mad about it, but he tried to play it off
let
like
him
he
just
was cool with
redo
it. Yeah, and I feel like you should be able to redo it, if not make it 2 laps. You
That's
know
what I
what
was
I
gonna
mean?
say, because otherwise, or just give everybody 2, because I guess you could fall
2
if you weren't gonna win,
chances.
but
Yeah, exactly.
like, that was such a buzzkill, and you have to assume when you're Cale Makar and you skate the way he does, he's probably got some insanely sharp skates with, like, a really,
Mhm.
really deep, sharpening, so I can't even imagine if there's, like, one little issue with your edge, how hard you could blow a tire, like, when you're skating
Yep.
on your edges the way
Yep.
he does. Alright, I'm down. But yeah, that was such a buzzkill because I feel like that's something that he could win, but
Oh,
and then
yeah.
like the
And a
announcers,
lot of
"He's gonna go counterclockwise. That's an interesting strategy," or something like that. I'm like, "It's not
but
this."
at the last one, like, there were so many people just picking all different directions. See, and that's the thing is I would have picked counterclockwise being the NASCAR fan that I am. That's the
Well, and
route
that's
that they always take.
I think everybody has one side, like one crossover that's more comfortable than the other. Like crossing over
Exactly.
left is easier for me. So I don't know if you could call that a strategy, but like it's probably a wise idea to take the direction that you can turn easiest.
Exactly, right? And that's just it. Like, he blows a tire, I didn't know as far as fastest skater if he would have been able to do it again because he was selected for fastest skater last year. I
Yeah.
thought for sure it should have been Nathan McKinnon that gave it a shot. Now
Well,
I know Kale's fast, but he
yeah.
didn't do anything as far as the skills competition went. Cale Makar was already selected with Mikko Rantanen to do the dunk tank challenge, so I was like, well, why not have him there?
Yeah.
But ultimately blows a tire, doesn't even make it into the finale, right?
I always
Which
like
it
what
is what it is, but
Jeff Merrick always says that he wants to add backward skating, and I totally agree because that would be, I
that
think that
would
would
be
be,
kind of cool.
which
Yeah,
the
Kel,
injury thing is,
if there was just a skating skills competition period where you have like this little obstacle course,
I
oh,
told
Kale
Mac, I
would
said they should do
wreck
figure
shop.
skating. I bet
Oh
that they
yeah,
should probably figure skate in hockey skates about as
exactly.
good as a lot of figure skaters. I think it would be really
Yep.
interesting to do like an obstacle course or like some kind of figure skating thing. I think it would be hysterical and also really interesting because the way like especially like Cale Makar and this like new age skating, it would be so insane to see the stuff that he can do on skates, but he'd also probably end up breaking an ankle. So
Yep, exactly. So moving on to the next challenge, the dunk tank challenge. excuse me. This one is the victorious this time. Kale McCarr and Mikko Rantanen. They get sweet revenge. Well, Kale does, I suppose.
Yeah. Even
But
after
wow, it was just such a fun just thing to watch, because that one's an accuracy challenge, right? You have to knock down all the surfboards in order, then hit the logo, and your opponent gets dunked. I just thought it was fun to do because, like we said before, there was something in it for the players, you
Well,
know.
yeah.
And
But okay, so was it McKinnon hit like one surfboard like 4 times and it wouldn't fall over? And I was like, okay.
there were a couple. Well, I think what it had to do was have, because it's latched on the bottom, that surfboard, and so if you hit it kind of toward the bottom, it doesn't
Yeah.
really
Wouldn't
hinge
you
it
think
off
that
that
they would
much.
have somebody that could like pull a trigger and knock it over if it's malfunction or not going
That's
down?
just it. I wonder if there was, because there were a couple times where like it did seem like the surfboard fell a little bit delayed.
Yeah.
But at the same
Crazy
time,
how far those pucks went. There's gonna be pucks like in
they
the
shot
bottom
those
of the
suckers
ocean, like especially
far, man, on
when
this.
they missed. Oh my, and that's like a leisurely shot. Like just
I know. It was just like
how hard those shots were.
Well, and the same thing with like that the golf shot challenge one. Like we just watched Clayton. I remember watching Clayton Keller, and he just zinged that sucker, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
that's like easily the whole size of a rink plus. Like I'm just like, this is incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But no Avalanche were in that competition, so I just kind of got to enjoy that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, ultimately on that dunk tank one, was it on? They were on South Beach, right, when they were doing that? I believe it
think
was.
so.
At least that's the more notable one, so I suppose they should have been at least. But yeah, ultimately it was a lot of fun to watch, and you score one for the Avs, so Avs players get one there.
Yeah, it was
and that's
one. Especially
say that
against
again.
Fox. McCarr beating Adam Fox is always that'll forever be the ingrained rivalry.
Yep, exactly. So that one is something that I would kind of hope they bring back, because it did seem a bit competitive, especially that last set.
Yeah.
That one definitely
Well, if
had.
they do it in Toronto, they won't be doing anything outdoors next year.
It won't be outdoors, but maybe they dunk it into an ice bath. That would be really funny.
Because they everybody sure was down to go when it was somewhere warm. So because it sounds like everybody already vacations in Florida, like there specifically. So I don't know if that's why Ovechkin and Crosby showed up or what, but it seemed like everybody's just in a good mood, like being somewhere warm. So making them go to Toronto in the dead of winter, like the dog days of winter, it's not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they kind of do this, just like what you said, to escape the cold. Like Georgiev, I think he went to like Cozumel or something like that, Cabo. Like people went down south where it's warm for stuff like that. So I kind of like the idea, but I understand, you want to give other teams a chance and whatnot, and some teams can't help the fact that their high during February is -6, So, it is what it is. But and then as far as the games,
Allie was talking about the nickname segment. It was like
yes,
talk about the two most like awkward, like not like that kind of.
They were like, we don't care, like so
then
dumb.
the fact that McDavid picks McJesus, it's like, dude.
It's like this guy just opened a giant swinging door. Now everyone's going to call him McJesus.
Mac has adopted.
Oh my gosh!
Entirely for like this year he started, and now he just like straight up calls him McJesus all the time. But it's the way that Subban kept saying, like he was saying, like Mac David. I'm like, he's not a Mac, he's a Mick. Like it's not.
He's
and then of course McKinnon chooses Lil Mac because he's Mr. like hard rap. That's like all
like
McKinnon
rap.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like I kind of figured that would come as soon as he said I'm picking Lil Mac, and as soon as Subban was like, so is that Lil like Lil? Well, I was like, well, duh. Like, do you know who you're talking to?
I thought that
but
McDavid would pick Mickey Mouse, but God forbid he doesn't have personality enough to be like be a little.
I know, and I thought it was so funny that was it Buccigross or something that said he kind of had to recover after McDavid was like, yeah, I hate Mickey Mouse. And Buccigross is like, well, Mickey Mouse cuts our checks here at ESPN, so we kind of love him. Like had to be on damage control right after he said it. Oh, it made me laugh. So it was like, it was bad, but it was like comically bad. you know, so it's like at least there was entertainment
Yeah,
value
I
in
mean,
it.
that's the thing, and, like, picking those 2 was such a risk, like, I don't know if they, like, made him take a couple shots right before that because those 2 are not Mac is and then somebody posted on Twitter, like, that McKinnon was, like, interview gold, and it's like, "What?" Like, what are they feeding him if he's interview gold while he's down there? Because
Yeah,
interviews
I
really
don't
haven't
know.
been his gig. He's gotten a lot better, but, he
Yeah.
hasn't been much for them in the last 5 years.
Yeah, and speaking of, and we'll get into the game segment here in just a second, but there was one where I believe it was Emily Kaplan was interviewing McKinnon after her first, first shot, first goal goes to McKinnon, yada yada
Yeah.
yada, and she was like, "How do you keep this fire?" And all this kind of stuff, and he's like looking at her like, "This is an all-star game, like no one cares."
It's
But
like the
he's
most
like, "How do we keep fire? Just keep playing with my team
workhorse,
or whatever it
right?
is he said." And it was just like, "Oh, stop, just stop."
That's the wrong
But
angle.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know
Um,
why. Allie also mentioned, I'm trying to hit all these comments here, but Allie, I was wondering that
yeah,
too. Some guys just didn't even do any competitions. And I don't know if they like bounce it off of them and they get to give like a hard no, or
yeah,
what, because it's weird that some people do multiple, right? Because yeah,
yeah.
McCarr did the
Some
skater,
guys
but
did,
I don't
and
know if you could do like a fun one. It was weird.
yeah, that's it. And it just, I kind of wish it got to a point because I would like to make it a bit more of a, since you're an all-star, you get to participate in the game and do a challenge. So
Right.
maybe like
Right.
have more challenges for something to showcase
Exactly.
what they're good
And
at,
let's just
like,
like, yeah, less
so I
bull
don't
crap.
know,
It
but
was some of it was just so stupid.
yeah, like some
I
people,
just like
they
want to
just
watch
they
more.
laced them up just to sit there on the bench and like give people knuckles as they're done with the fastest skater
Yeah,
or whatever. So it's just like give everyone a
maybe a
shot to
deep sea
do
fishing trips
one
plan.
thing.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. And then into the games themselves. So the Central Division beats Pacific in the first round. The Atlantic beats the Metropolitan in the first round, and then Atlantic ultimately beats the Central for the title. Um, Thoughts on the first game there for this? We'll talk about the Central Division only, as they were, they're the ones who contain the Avalanche. So
Yeah.
that first
Um,
game, it was kind of, in my opinion, I thought it was slow,
Especially when you
very
consider
slow.
3-on-3, so it shouldn't have to be
Yeah.
fast to look fast. So if you're 3-on-3
Hmm.
and it still looks slow, then it's like extra slow. It was a really pretty boring game, but fortunately our trio was kind of the shining light of it all because I don't know. It really was pretty boring, especially the second half. I was like, all right, well, I feel like I need to watch this because it's our guys, but it was it was not
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing. It's like you want them to win. Like you always have that mentality, just sitting there
Right.
watching it. Like, come on, like do something good, some fine highlight reels or something. And there were a few, but it was just really slow, right? So
Yeah.
they end up winning. You're like, sweet, because it ended up getting competitive toward the end. They, Pacific pulls their goalie and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you're just kind of hoping that pace was all over the place, or excuse me, pace was high during the whole game. Because that's exactly what it was with the Metropolitan and Atlantic. It's like they started right off the gates and it was much more fast
Yeah.
paced
Yes.
than the Central and Pacific. My gosh.
And
And
how
as soon as that happened, though, you were like, yeah, East is going to win it. Whoever
oh,
comes
for
out of
sure.
it.
And it was just like it was such a happy moment to see Crosby and Ovechkin scoring a goal together.
Oh my gosh. And a
Morning
couple of them.
time.
I was because you just had that exact same thing, right? Because the whole time you were watching any of the games, you were just like, okay, I want so and so to score, or I
Mhm.
want this to be a thing, like the Ovechkin and Crosby
Yeah.
goals, right? Because Crosby, I think, had two off of Ovechkin, but you were hoping that it was, one serves one serves the other. They both get goals from
And
each other.
that narrative was probably being pushed
Oh
really
yeah,
hard.
and it was like, if these guys were on a team together, take them
So,
both and stick them in like Arizona or whatever. Just
yeah.
that would be so much fun to
Yeah.
watch. Like it was so
Yeah.
much fun. Um, but yeah, so I like we had our ones every time someone had the puck, because they're all stars. They're players that you ended up watching. So the three that I had, I wanted to see all of our boys score, right? And they did eventually.
Glad they all got
But Yep, they all got some. It's like Clayton Keller, just because it's the Coyotes, you want to have some kind of representation there. Eric Carlson, because he's Sweden sweetheart.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it was fun to see the combinations and lines that they had, like the Kachuk brothers. That Matthew
Yeah, it's
Kachuk just
always
went
so crazy
off.
to think, like, what if, when you consider, like, who might,
Exactly,
and that's why sometimes
exactly.
I wish it was 5-on-5. Like, I'd love to see, like, a real hard-fought game to see what could have been in the NHL,
Hmm.
just in any various line combination. Mac and I were in the car, like, 2 weeks ago, and Mac's like, "Okay, think about this. What if McKinnon and Crosby and Ovechkin and Rantanen and Makar were on a line together?"
Wow.
And he's
Ooh.
like, "Wouldn't it be so cool to see them do that?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, they're gonna that's what the All-Star game is, buddy. It's gonna be like that."
Yeah, man.
Like, he's like, "No, no, 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 mom. Like, what if they were all playing on a line together?" I'm like, "Nobody. That's what the All-Star game is." And he was basically just like, "You don't understand what I'm saying." And I'm like, "Okay, you just wait." And he thought it was pretty badass to see Ovechkin and Crosby out there together.
It was,
He
and it
was
was a
like,
lot of fun.
it
It
was, yeah,
was. And that's kind of like what you were just saying, is like there's so many what ifs that now you actually get to see
yeah.
kind of how
It's weird too when you've got
potential
Kadri
lines
out there
work, you
too.
know?
See some of
Yeah,
our
because there are some times where it just raises eyebrows. You're like, that was a good shift from
yeah,
these three guys. What would
yeah,
happen if they were together? Just fun stuff like that you get to see. But ultimately, they all three of our guys just stuck on the same line for the same shifts and
yeah.
ended
It would
up
be
doing
nice to
great.
see it, like, full blown, which I understand why they can't and why they don't,
Yeah.
but it would be pretty cool to see them. Maybe they just need to keep raising the money for until it,
No, definitely. And you're
until it's
absolutely
for
right.
'em.
I wonder if there's some bigger incentive that you can have in order for them
Okay,
to play a little bit
I
harder, I
was,
guess is one way to put it.
there was one proposition that I heard that the winning division, would get a point, like a point that doesn't count as a win or
Oh.
uh, like, I don't know if it
Hmm.
I don't know how that would work, if it was, like, for each player represented or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no
I
idea how that could be fair, but
oh.
that made it really interesting, and it wouldn't go against, like, the tiebreaker points for, like, the
Right,
race
right.
or whatever, but, I mean, if you could make it,
Mm.
like, but, I mean, I'm sure there would be riots and
Oh, sure, sure. Or maybe what it could be, I'm just kind of spitballing here, but maybe what it could be is like whoever wins out of that division, or because it's divisions, what happens is that dictates who gets home ice advantage during the
yes,
final,
something like that. I mean,
or
if
something
it's
like that.
something that's compelling but not earth-shaking.
Yeah, yeah,
Not
something that
not
you're going to want to have this.
ambition.
It's Yeah, that's exactly right.
It was interesting to hear Crosby come out and say that he liked this, playoff format, because I think that there's a lot of, division on that, so it's kinda interesting to hear him say that because, you know, if
Yeah,
anyone knows, he knows.
that's
But
exactly
yeah,
right.
the Crosby McKinnon thing is, like, so cute, and it's just so funny too because, if you listen to a lot of, like, older McKinnon interviews, he essentially, like, Crosby was like a almost celebrity to him, but even as, like, kids, just because he was
Mhm.
so hardworking, and so, like, he, looked up to him so much, and it's funny now that you can see, like, in their interactions and the way that McKinnon talks, how it's shifted, and that now McKinnon's like, he's an
Yeah.
equal, he's on that level, and he's one of them too,
Yep.
and yeah, it was super. Crosby is just like, he's just such a good guy. Like, of course, he goes in and talks about McKinnon, and he's so happy for him to get it, and like Max shining a little bit brighter and smiling a little bit bigger.
Oh, he's like, "Oh, shucks," kicking dirt, like, "Oh, stop."
Yeah, it was, there
No,
was a lot
it's
of
fun.
cute vibes in there too, and then, of course, we can't not mention Ovi's kid, like Crosby and Ovi and his kid,
Mhm.
and then, I don't know if you saw, who was it that went on a rampage about it? Somebody was one of the,
That was, Dominic Hasek.
yes.
He was not happy to see that they could, he said, "Why are they letting
Yeah,
Ovechkin's
which
son
I think,
do this?" And
he's from Czechoslovakia. What some he's from that area and had a
yeah,
pretty brutal, so he's got a far more personal investment in it, but also it's,
he does. Yep.
yeah, it's a tough spot, but also, like, he is in our league and as a kid. was a little kid, so but yeah,
Yeah.
and then seeing Keller score was so good. It's,
Mm.
nice to just for somebody that's probably living in a constant state of hopelessness, get a little win here and there.
Well, hopefully that my purchase. So I bought the Desert Knights jersey. It's hanging up in my closet right
Did
now.
you?
Hopefully a bit of that proceed goes to his paycheck and makes him feel a little bit better. So, but ultimately, it was fun to watch the energy as those games went on get a little better.
Yeah.
Um, the final game with the Central and the Atlantic, it kind of was lopsided by the end of it, but they made a
Mhm.
game out of it, losing 5-7, and the $1 million check
Yeah.
goes to the boys in the Atlantic. But ultimately, it was fine to finally see them at least play with pace from the beginning
Mhm.
of this
Yeah.
second game, I should say.
It was weird though,
But
wasn't
yeah,
last year
just
high scoring? Wasn't it like 13s and, like, in the teens
it,
most of them?
it, I remember it distinctly being very, very high scoring. So this one, like I said, it was kind of more of also a goalie showcase that they're like, I don't want people to score
Yeah,
on
I
me, all that
suppose.
kind of stuff. But
It changed up a little bit.
so a bit more down to earth, bit more realism with it. But yeah, still there a lot of kinks that could probably be worked out in the end.
Mhm.
But ultimately that wraps up the weekend for All-Star break. Again, it was just, if I could describe it in one word, I would probably just say meh.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
it, it
I
wasn't the
mean,
worst one I've seen, but it could have been better. And that's about
yeah,
it.
it's not must-see, but it's alright.
Yep. So, next segment, we have something very fun and special prepared for you guys. The All-Star break tends to mark the halfway point of the NHL season, as most of you know.
Mhm.
And we put a little something together for some mid-season awards. There have been other shows and podcasts that we have watched that have done award shows at the end of the season, sometimes mid-season, stuff like that. So we kind of wanted to contribute and make our own. So without further ado, we will go ahead and add it right here. Let me just make sure I got the arrow keys on there. So welcome everybody to the Cluster Puck Mid-Season Award Show hosted by Britt and Nick. There's two categories essentially that we're going to have. There's the personal trophies, or excuse me, personal awards that we're going to issue. We've come up with 5 each. And then there are 5 additional ones that we're going to award that we both discussed. And they're going to be based after real life awards. Yep. And Allie's getting really excited too. She says we're making a fancy presentation. There were a couple things that we are going to talk about. Some of them they weren't finalized as I was typing them out, so we'll just make sure that we get it right as they come. Okay. So for our personal awards, Britt, I believe you will start first by talking about this one and who you awarded it to.
So mine, I went a little bit on the goofier side. So I don't know if you can consider it an award, and it might be a little preemptive, but my Homecoming King award goes to Matt Nieto just because the Avalanche land is so insanely excited to have him back. And he came back and scored himself an empty net goal, like a true
Yeah, man.
Matt Nieto. He also just wins the award that is my heart and all my joy to be back. So the Homecoming Queen award.
There you
Queen.
go. Very exciting. Very exciting.
In Colorado
So
system. Whether he may be called Mr. Long Beach native, but he's Colorado
he's a Colorado man through and through. He won the locker room the first time, and I'll bet you he's doing it this time. Absolutely. My first personal award is named Mr. Unlucky. And nothing, that's no disgrace, no slighting, nothing like that. It's just kind of how his luck has been thus far. And this goes to one Logan O'Connor.
Yeah.
It just, the guy's playing really good. Just he's showing heart, showing hustle, fun stuff. You'd love to see it, but just the puck is not bouncing his way. He's just got so many chances, and it just either falls off the blade, hops over the stick, just
Yeah.
misses an empty netter. Just a bunch of dumb luck right now for him. So hopefully he breaks that here in the second half. But as far as his first half goes, I'm giving this Mr. Unlucky trophy
Yeah,
to a
he's
one
like the
Logan
walking
O'Connor.
contradiction to like making your own luck.
Exactly.
You do not make your own luck when you're Logan O'Connor because he
There you
deserves
go.
all.
And that's exactly right. It's like there are so many things that he deserves, but yeah, sometimes they're taken from him. Sometimes it just doesn't roll his way. But Speaking of, Allie does say, "Can I nominate Cogs to be Mr. Goal Thief?" Well,
Ooh, you don't say.
maybe there's some foreshadowing there, but we'll get to this. Brittany's second award here.
The Ping King. And if you don't hear the ping in your brain, then you might not be a goalie. But when you're a goalie and you hear that ping, I always tell people you learn all the different tones of a ping and the higher pitched, whether it's going to go in or not. Usually, I always told my friend, like my team, I would love to do a thing where I could sit and judge pucks hitting the post and see how many I could not look at all after and see if they went in or not and say if it went in or not, because I'm pretty sure I could be about 80% on. But our ping king is Mr. Cale Makar, because that man just roasts the crossbars all day long. It's insane. And it's
How many
crazy.
goals do you think he'd have if he didn't ring them off the iron?
I don't know. I mean, it's like that Mighty Ducks, just like a quarter inch, and we'd have
not a ton.
So many more goals. It's crazy. And it's so crazy too with Makar, because half the time it's so loud that you hear it so loudly. Even
it is,
like, it's crazy.
It's ear-shattering loud.
Yeah. He is
because there are those two types of pings. You know, there's the one where it has the loud ping and it just kind of shallows out, and that's like, that one missed.
Yep.
Right. But then there's the quick little tink, and it.
Yep.
Yep. If it's a short tink, that means it went in. But usually these ones tended to be ting, and they just like resonated for just an hour.
Yeah, I don't know. This year, it seemed like that was a playoff thing too, though, wasn't it? Cale Makar hit in posts, which
it sure seemed like it.
Makes sense, because I mean he's aiming for such, and that's why I always told people, like with Burakovsky missing like the net all the time by 2 inches, and it's like, well, if you think about it, they're aiming for they've got this much corner open. So when you think about it, 2 inches is still pretty impressive.
That's pretty accurate. Like, just hitting means you're there. It means you're dialed in.
They do not have a whole lot of sight around those big goalies there. So when you see an NHL player snipe an NHL goalie, I mean, that's incredible, because usually you need to beat the goalie from like when they're out of position from an angle, or you need to get a tip or a one-timer. But when you straight up snipe from the blue line, that's pretty badass. So yeah,
that's pretty incredible. Absolutely.
Yep. So yes, our ping king, among other things, Cale Makar is. This was the one that noted, because it just drives me crazy, man. It's one of those things that it's like, it doesn't matter, but it was so close to being a goal, but not a goal is not a goal. So.
Yep. It's like you're right there, and it's just kind of those, you just kind of go moments, you know.
And then you've got LOC and Ben Myers, who can't hit a wide open net if their life depended on it.
Yeah. It's sometimes people are lucky to have the iron. Sometimes they just are lucky to get it close to the net. Anyway, I have the Nice Guys Finish First award. And this one should be no brainer. I give it to a 1, Pavel Francouz. That you just, I don't know what else there is to say. He's just the nicest guy when it comes to the interviews. He doesn't really have anything. Yeah, he doesn't say anything really, bad about the opposing team. No. There is only that one, I call it a blemish if you're going for this award here, but after that Seattle shootout, and he won the shootout and stuff like that, he kind of stared down the guy after he poke checked him, which I was like, it's deserving. It absolutely is deserving.
Yeah,
but it's not a nice thing to do.
He's a pleasant guy, man. And you'd almost think that he like doesn't speak English, and so he just like kind of smile and act pretty. But no, he's just a really pleasant person with not a whole lot.
He just uses simple words, simple phrases, and he's just like happy to even play hockey and have won the Stanley Cup. And
he apparently gets, because he like almost slept through a flight change, and the team like he slept through. So he must be a very deep sleeper. Whatever he's taken to sleep, I could use some of it.
When Frankie says relax, you absolutely relax. 100%. All right, Britt, next one. Care to explain?
Allie, tell us who our guy is. We have Mr. Cogliano, the goal thief. He it cracks me up, because I wanted to like my big plans and my limited time in life. I wanted to go look through and see if I could find some way to figure out how many of his tips this year, and then
So
go
many, I bet.
stolen. And Andrew McDermott probably has like a little checklist of how many goals Cogs has just stuck his finger out or got a foot on. Because I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
he had 3 from McDermott this
3
year.
for McDermott, probably just himself. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. And Cogs is he's just the king of getting something out and just touch it. And now that goal is his, and it didn't matter that whoever it came from, now it's just an assist. He wants the 2.
Yep.
So he's which is probably part of the reason why he's always got a broken finger or a broken hand or something. That dude
right.
is like the most fearless person on the face.
He just guys made of iron, man. It's speaking of
crazy.
iron, man, he had a lot of games under his belt to do so. But yeah, it seems like he scores in any way except off of his own stick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is I would 100% agree with this award. He stole about 3 of Curtis McDermott's goals. One of them came with like a broken finger, but they don't. The stat sheets don't ask how; they just ask how many.
Yeah. Yep.
Very good. The I'm Sold award. This one is pretty. I'll explain it because it kind of has a couple of meanings with it here. But I gave the I'm Sold award to Evan Rodriguez. Just on how quickly he fell in love with the team. I want to say it was about a month or so ago or something that they said that their best moment or New Year's resolution or something like that. They asked like what was the best thing or best Christmas present or whatever it was. And Evan Rodriguez said signing with the Avalanche.
Aww.
And I was like, now is he saying that just because he's in front of the cameras and it's altitude TV? It felt like he meant it though. You know what I mean?
I think that this is a place that a lot of people want to be right now, especially when you've got guys like him that are either on the cusp of greatness or just moving down in that bottom 6 role. And, wasn't going to be able to keep playing with Crosby forever. Like he's not going to stay on that line in Pittsburgh. So I mean, he's really, a lot of people let that chance go, you know, when they get here, and he basically had a fresh start on what could be the most bomb year of his life. And it's nice to see somebody take it and run. And
he is doing great, which is the part 2 to my I'm Sold trophy. Watching Evan Rodriguez, I'm sold.
I know.
You know, he's playing. I want him to sign an extension 8 years. Like I'm ready, man. Just if this is how he continues to play and you know help with the production, I'm all for it. You know, granted he hasn't done anything like you know Mikko Rantanen or whoever. He's still done enough to hold his own to be a kind of more comparable, you know, kind of apples to apples look with Nazem Kadri or more specifically Andre Burakovsky as far as your production goes. So I think he's been a great replacement, a great piece to come in, and I'm just happy he's here. So I'm absolutely sold on him. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So next award here. Care to explain?
Headmaster. I'm always curious. I when I thought of that one, I thought, where are people going to go with that right away in their heads? But with the headmaster, we are talking about Mr. Alex Newhook, who has mastered the art of taking a puck to the face, shaking it off, and going out and doing some awesome crap. So there was a moment. So last month, he got a stick to the face like in the last 3 weeks, but he's had 2 very notable pucks right to the head / face. He had that first one against the Flyers, and that was that gnarly one that hit him right in the cheek. And there was this
big shiner right there. Yep.
Yes, and he had that was the game that he actually scored that first goal of the game, and it
was.
Yes, so then we got rolling, and he took that puck to the face, and it cut his face, and he just looks so tough, which like I always think of him as a baby because he is a baby. I mean, he just turned like 22, but he was sitting on the bench and they zoomed in on him and he like did this thing where he like shaked his head and he was trying to like get his head back in the game. And I swear to God, I saw him like age and just like turn into a man right there. It was so weird.
Just watched his beard grow full and thicker, and you're just like, what in the world?
And the fact that he finishes that game is absolutely
crazy,
mind-blowing. But amazing. Then so that's December 6th. And then so 1 month and a week later, on the 12th of this month against the Blackhawks, he takes that big puck and busts his
Kinda
nose.
right, like, here,
And I don't
yep.
think, did Newhook even miss a game after the Flyers won? Did he miss one game?
I don't think so.
Which blows my mind, because I was like,
Maybe.
this bone, I couldn't believe it didn't break that bone. I mean, it was so
Oh,
hard.
I'll bet you he felt it for
Oh,
sure,
well,
for
and then
weeks.
yeah, the second one got him right in the nose. You could see in the
Oh, yeah.
interviews, sliced across the nose, and I just, don't understand how a person, I've, like, dropped my phone on my nose before while I was laying in bed and thought that maybe I should call in sick for the next 3 weeks, because, like, getting hit in the nose is so traumatic when you get that stinging,
Oh,
burning,
yeah.
and the fact that
Oh, it
he
hurts.
finishes these games, which I don't know if you remember that Flyers game, he stayed out, but do you remember that being the game from hell? That was when Mac left because he was hurt.
That's
And
right.
then, Jean-Luc Foudy, they missed that splash, and he was hurt, so he left. And then remember, Nuke went down the tunnel at one point, Cogliano went down the tunnel at one point, and then that was the game that Evan Rodriguez, I think it was, he got like a stinger. But we just had guys keep getting hurt and hurt and hurt, and then the last one was Newhook taking that puck to the face. And I just remember thinking, they have to just stop the game. Everybody's gonna die by the end of this game.
Call a forfeit. We give up. White flag.
Even the ESPN guy, I remember him saying, like, the Avs just keep getting hurt. Like, everybody keeps getting
We just,
hurt. And I
yeah.
think we were texting, and I was like, oh my God, this person's down the tunnel. Oh my God, this person's down the tunnel. And then, of course, the guy that takes the puck right to the face stays out. And then Newhook ends up scoring a goal in the Blackhawks game after the puck to the
Yep.
face. Didn't he? I think it was that one. And it's so incredible that he could play hockey
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
breathe. I mean, when you think about the breathing, especially after, did Rantanen, he got a big old stick to the face, didn't he? Rantanen broke his nose. Was that the beginning of this year? I can't remember how far it was
Oh,
in.
gosh.
But I just don't know how
I
these
don't
guys
remember.
play with broken noses. And I obviously am not as tough as them, but you'd think even just having limited breathing would affect them so much. And that's why, like, with Rantanen, I was worried that he was going to be out of it for a while. But they have superhuman healing powers and probably a lot more drugs than we do.
They have the medical attention as
Yeah.
professional athletes typically do, you know. And
But yeah,
I'm right there with you. I've once upon a time dropped a phone on my nose while laying in bed, and I felt like I was out 6 to
or
8
accidentally like
weeks,
pull
you know.
something and punch yourself in the face.
Oh my gosh, I've done that too. Like, it's like
Yeah.
right here, right where that the lip connects to
Yep.
the bridge right here, you know. It's like, oh my gosh, I swear I'd rip that thing in half, and I'm like, I'm out, man. I'm done for the
I don't know
season.
how they do it. It's incredible. Or when you think about these guys, who was it that finished the game earlier this year with a ruptured testicle? Like, he got hit in a putt
Just
with
so
a
many
puck.
weird things,
Was
man.
that Wheeler, I think?
Something like that, but
Yeah.
it's
And
like,
it's
it just
like,
talks about how
how?
indestructible hockey players are,
It's
you know.
it's
Like Nichushkin played all the Stanley Cup finals on a broken foot,
yeah.
Landeskog with like a broken knee or
Yep.
whatever it was. That's just
Audrey with
crazy. And to see that
having
Alex,
surgery on his thumb and being back right away, like
yeah,
Patrick.
just nuts. Like, it just reminds me of, like, this was with the Bruins. I think this was when they went against the Blues in the Stanley Cup final, or that playoff, I want to say it was.
Yeah, I
But
know.
Zdeno Chara got his jaw just broken, just snapped in
Oh,
like 3 different places or whatever.
gross.
And he misses, I think, 1 game to get it patched up, and he's there with a fishbowl playing like nothing happened.
Well, who
Like,
was it
I
that
was
had
like,
cancer lung like 2 years ago?
yeah, it's just, oh
Was
my gosh, it's
the
so
guy for
crazy just to see
yeah,
all
so
these
proud.
injuries and stuff that happens. Like, and mind you, a hockey puck. Let me actually see if I have one just kind of sitting here. I do. Oh, I might have behind that glass. Whatever. A hockey puck is not a light object. It's a dense piece of rubber, and if that thing, and you know, I've had it where I'm just kind of playing around and I hit my own foot with it, just wearing street shoes and whatnot, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
you know, it stings. And just to see a guy take just like with Alex Newhook, he takes a puck to the face twice, and he's no worse for wear. Yeah, I agree with the Headmaster Award 100%.
Yep.
Okay, moving on here. Speaking of injuries, this is the 2 steps forward, 1 step back award. Just because it seems like he gets there and then something happens, and he gets there again and then something happens. This one I give to Val Nichushkin. You love to have him. He signed a great deal, so 2 steps forward. Well, he plays, so plays great. Another 2 steps forward, but then the 1 step back, he gets injured and he's out for a while, and you're like, okay, fine, whatever. Then he comes back and he 2 steps forward, and then he doesn't play too well, 1 step back, and then he gets injured again, and then he plays great, and then injured again, and yeah. So 2 steps forward, 1 step back. This guy just can't seem to catch a break. I don't know if that foot has fully healed. That's my only question.
I dove into that a little while ago, and it sounds the issue with the foot is entirely healed, and the only problem he's been having is the rubbing on the scar tissue from
the scar tissue.
And so it sounds like they have rigged the skates up to fit him correctly, and he's not having issues with that now. The injury that he had right before, what was he at, like 2 or 3 games just before the All-Star break, was totally like irrelevant. I think it was an upper body, and it sounds like he should be back tomorrow.
Yeah, and speaking of injured people coming back, Byram is
I
going
know.
to be back.
God.
I believe Manson is on the docket to come back this week as well, if I'm not mistaken.
They said I just looked at the Bednar discussion. It sounds like he's probably not back for tomorrow, but
I think he's still traveling with them, if I'm not mistaken, though, right?
God, it's just
so he either misses this road trip and then he's back, or he plays like the
either way. Heck yeah, man.
He's on the docket next though, so he's close.
And Helm is actually recovering.
He's skating again.
Yeah, so I guess
it's so weird. Oh my gosh, it's like there's so many pieces of good news, but then he'll play maybe like 1 game and then he's done again. I don't know. Yep. But it'd be kind of cool to see if he could come back. But I think he's kind of found his match. And I'm not saying like his replacement or anything, but just the fact that Nieto's here and he's doing just a fine job. I think that means Helm could take it a little easier.
Yeah.
It's not a pressing issue. But anyway, the 2 step forward, 1 step back award I give to Val Nichushkin. Okay, Britt. It's time to talk here about the Endurance Daddy Award.
As dirty as it sounds, what we're talking about here is Mr. Devon Tays, who becomes a daddy for the 2nd time in late December, the 28th of December, and then goes on the next day to play 29 minutes in the game. He's catching some flack this year because he's definitely not blowing it up. We're not seeing a whole lot of points out of him, but when you consider the fact that he is doing this after just having had a baby, I don't know if you guys have had newborns in your house, but it's not a lot of sleep to be had, even if you are the dad. And he's such which he's had some real bad turnovers this year that have kind of blown my mind, honestly. But he's such a silent, stable. He's just one of those guys that I think is easy to forget how valuable he is. Especially, I was looking through December and there was so many games that he was. There's the captain.
Captain is giving his orders.
Yeah, he's playing 30 minutes and just everybody's constantly talking about Rantanen and Makar, but I think that Tays was kind of the unsung hero in a lot of this throughout the last month.
A lot of times he kind of came to the rescue. I absolutely agree.
But yeah, so endurance, and he's doing it regardless of being a new daddy for the 2nd time. I thought when I sent that to you, I was like, that might be a little weirder than I was going for. But
it was clever. Oh my gosh, when you texted me that, I freaking lost it.
Yeah, that's my new nickname for.
That was so funny. I'm never going to see him the same. In fact, tomorrow's game, I guarantee you, I'm going to be screaming. Come on, Endurance Daddy, let's go.
Yeah, really rolls.
If he scores a goal, I'm texting you just 3 skull and crossbone emojis.
Oh, that's so funny because I always joke around. I still call Gabe Captain Daddy and Daddy Captain. So just like to make people uncomfortable.
The daddy theme over there at Britt's household, I bet, is just wild.
Yeah, not as weird as it.
Very good. So Devon Taves wins the Endurance Daddy Award.
Yeah, Yes, he is the daddy who, because I was gonna do Energizer Daddy, and I was like, I think that almost sounds weird.
That almost sounds worse.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was, we just sometimes you're better where you start. Going
No,
down
well, the name of the, or excuse me, Trophy of the Year award I give to you. That was a great trophy.
that.
I
Yes,
absolutely
the
think it was
unsung
great.
hero.
So, all right, the Me, Myself, and I trophy. This one, it's kind of, it's not a selfish trophy, so let's get that out of the way. It's a hard work and dedication. You put all the responsibility on yourself type trophy, and I give this one to Brad Hunt.
Well,
Just the fact that he went from just kind of a, I don't want to call it a peon perspective, but just kind of like one of those lower tier type things. You just kind of like had him in, but then he escapes trade again. He's sniping from the blue line like nobody else right now. He's quick. He gives it his all. And he did it
yeah,
all by himself. And you can tell during his interviews just how much he's happy that his hard work is paying off. And he's able to play these minutes and give it his all. So I
he
say for
is,
Brad Hunt, you're doing
yeah,
great. Keep going. Absolutely.
an absolute gem. His interviews are so darling. It's like,
It's
and if you
great.
listen to it without seeing him, you would think that it was like Bo Byram talking, like just some like
Uh-huh.
slow little guy. But he's such a nice guy. It's nice to see. There's just some people that you just want personal success for, and definitely one of those guys. He's just the new Jack Johnson. He's like,
Essentially. Yep.
yeah,
You just are so happy for him because of his success that he's experiencing, and you just hope it continues.
yeah.
And
The
like I said,
Eagles were like, give him back already.
yeah, seriously, they're like, come on, we want him
He's still
back.
in the All-Star game from the Eagles.
That's
So
exactly
he
right.
was yeah, he was making the All-Star game for the ECHL. So
Who went in his stead? Was it Foodie?
I don't
Because I
know.
know Foodie did hardest shot.
Oh, did he?
I don't remember.
Did they just have one going? I don't know. I honestly have
Mm,
never watched the ECHL All-Star game. I didn't even
I
realize
don't
that they
know,
did
actually.
it.
I don't know.
Perfect.
But anyways, it's good to see Brad Hunt getting a trophy here, and
He
like I
probably
said, I
had
hope he keeps it up
multiple.
and ends up getting to 10 goals with 20 plus points. I think that would be a great season for him if he did.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's when you consider that we brought him in as a like, don't shit the bed, and that's all we need from you is
Pretty much.
hold our
He's
ice
excelled
for 10 minutes
expectations.
a game. Yeah, and he's coming out and he's like, oh, I think I'll score a goal. That sounds like a good time. So yeah, he's definitely doing good. It's so funny listening to Steve Dangle because they have Dryden Hunt in Toronto, and Steve
Mhm.
Dangle constantly calls him Brad Hunt and gets them confused because they got Dryden Hunt from us also. So when Dryden Hunt was gone, I was like, that's probably a good thing because we don't have room for two Hunts on the
I
ice.
know.
But yeah, so
And
Steve
Brad,
Dangle
and that's
was
just it.
calling
Brad has
Dryden.
kind of shown that he's worth keeping that spot
Yeah.
on that fourth line at least. So, or excuse
Yep.
me, third line defensive pairing. Um, but anyway, that's the Me, Myself, and I trophy. Okay, so that's our 5 personal awards that we have given to players that we liked to watch as far as Avalanche go. So on
Mhm.
this one, there are 5 trophies that are going to be dished out, and they are the same trophies that are handed out to the NHL, but we're speaking only for the Avalanche, right? So first things first, the Rocket Richard Trophy, normally given to the most goals scored in
Nick
a single
texted
season.
me. Nick texted me and he's telling me to pick my for this, and this. And he's like, and obviously Rocky Richard goes for he's like, you don't have to answer
This
that.
isn't a question. This one's kind of, you can't really argue with the numbers.
He's like, just tell me
So the Rocket Richard Trophy goes to obviously Mikko Rantanen, 34 goals so far. Um, he is
Could you imagine
playing
if he scored
so.
60 goals this year?
What's that?
Could you imagine if he scored 60 goals this year? Like if he somehow
Well, I mean, if
It's-
he
60
could,
goals is
he's
not
more than capable of doing a 60-goal year. If you think about it, the proverbial halfway point where we just
right.
hit, and he's at 34.
Yeah, it's
I
pretty
think he is more than capable of hitting 60. He just needs to keep hitting his stride like he has been doing, and
right. And
I don't
that's
see why he couldn't actually get the Rocket Richard.
yeah, it would be is he even in considerations yet? I don't know that I've seen him
I don't know.
on considerations for anything yet, which
He's shown up on the All-Star graphic, as
Oh, did
far
he?
as,
Okay.
yep. So I think he was like tied for fourth or fifth or something like that as far as goals scored. But
Mhm.
he's got some work cut out for him, especially if like McDavid and all those guys continue at just a high clip. But like I said, it's totally attainable, at least for personal achievement, to hit 60.
Oh, for sure.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, next one we have the Vezina Trophy. This one was unanimous between the both of us again. And we give this award to Alexander Georgiev. Now, I know a lot of you are on the Francouz trail, and that's the thing. It wasn't necessarily a no-brainer pick, but it just seemed like, at least in my perspective, and then Britt, you can give your thoughts here, but it just seemed like Georgiev has, with the playing time that he has proven himself to be that 1A goaltender that we sought after during
Mhm.
the offseason. He had the whole team really had that down note during December, January, that era.
Yeah.
So he's part of that. But as far as his play has gone, the nights he is on it, he is very much on it.
Yep.
And that's just it. Francouz is as well. And I
For
can
sure.
give as many reasons for sure as to why he would get this midseason award. But I just would, I think my personal comfort level currently resides more in the Georgiev camp than it
Mhm.
does in the Francouz camp.
Yep, no, I totally agree. And I think I went on last week about why I think Georgiev is the starter and my feelings on it. The thing is, I love both of them, but I just
Oh yeah.
feel
Yeah.
I feel like Georgie's just got that it factor. That's one of those carry you through huge, huge moments kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That I just think that's him. So yeah, that's this year is like last year we had no, the year before we had like 15 goalies we could have chosen from that the go through.
No kidding.
But this year
My
we just got
gosh.
two. It's pretty cool.
We just got the two.
Yeah,
Yep.
I
We
didn't
have
think
not had to play a
could we
third yet.
put because we were thinking JoJo might have to go in, but JoJo.
I think he backed up a couple of games.
He
Yep.
went
But I
in.
don't think he actually, no, he did go
He
in
went into
once.
the end of one game. He had like
He went into, who was that
was it
against?
an Edmonton game?
Toronto, I think it was.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
It was the third period of Toronto. So, okay, so we did have three goalies, but the small sample size
Didn't
for
say that.
Johansson doesn't count. But yep, I think as it sits, our midseason vote still is with Georgiev, and who knows? By the end of this season, maybe it sways into the Francouz camp.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? The Lady Bing Trophy. This one we did have two different winners. I think I know I put mine into the slide. I don't think I put yours in. No slides, no being mean or anything, but we'll just make sure we get this on record as the audio first. So my Lady Bing I give to Nathan McKinnon.
What?
Uh-huh. And you'll see why in just a second. But before I go into that, who was your Lady Bing winner?
My Lady Bing was the ever so lovely Francouz. I had a little bit of guilt because I was scrolling through the roster over and over again, and I always preach about how the Avs are such a lovable team, and I was like, they are kind of a bunch of pesky little brats, a lot of them, because I can think of reasons that a lot of these guys shouldn't have them, but I settled on Francouz. Nuke was my other guy because he puts up with a lot of he gets slashed and hooked and whacked because he's not the fastest.
He gets so much the stick hit on his body that it's just like, come on, call something.
And that's what sucks about being not that fast, but he can control the puck. I swear his hands and arms take more hits, and he's just really good about not retaliating. I mean, if Brant got played the way that he got played, Rantanen would be in jail. I mean, he's straight up jail.
It's true. It really is.
Yeah.
But yeah, with your
so
Francouz. Yep. That was it though. I was like, I mean, a clear-cut winner really is Francouz. I mean,
and he's just such an exemplary teammate. He always has
it really is.
And yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say anything that wasn't just really positive about him. Like literally nothing. So I don't know. He's just but yes, tell us about Nathan McKinnon.
All right, let me defend myself here. Let me defend my integrity. So I gave the Lady Byng Trophy to Nathan MacKinnon. I know that it's a display of sportsmanship. That's kind of the award. But this Lady Byng, as far as how I'm going, is helping. You know what I mean? Helping others. And as it currently sits, Nathan MacKinnon has the most assists on the game on the team. Right? So he's helping more people score. Kind of a twist on how my criteria is judged, right?
Yeah.
Now he's not Mr. Nice Guy per se, but game does recognize game. I have seen him give some stick taps to people and talk to people and whatnot.
But if you're
as far
measuring
as on
perspectively, when you consider his baseline from where he started, which conveniently when he won the Lady Byng was like his easiest.
I know. And yeah, he actually has won it. So
our pity trophy that ever existed. It was so weird. But from where he started to where he's at, he's grown up a lot. Like the whining and ref chasing, and he's certainly gotten a lot more sportsmanlike. So when you consider where they started, he probably could.
Yeah, he's quick. He's very good with stick handling, speed, all that kind of stuff. But in a scrum, he's not the guy to face, or I guess maybe everyone will face Wash, I should say, but he's not the guy to like throw punches or whatever. So, and he's not the guy to push up against the boards. I've seen him where he's got a chance to just flatten a guy against the glass and he doesn't. So he's nice in that aspect. But I think in this, at least from what I gave him, is because he is helping other players score on the team.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure, especially like the first few weeks of the year, or the first. Gosh, was he out? He had one run there where he had like.
I think he had like 15 assists before he had 2 goals. Like it was crazy. Yeah. It was like, hey, he's back on that because he had the same thing last season. Where he was just like giving assists, and we're like, so is he ever gonna score again?
Well,
like
when you've got the whole other team chasing him down, we finally figure out that if everybody's chasing him, he's got other people wide open because nobody's even thinking about them. Just got to stay on MacKinnon. So yeah, it's
exactly.
It's pretty cool to see that.
Yep, exactly. Okay, next trophy, the Norris Trophy, given to best defenseman. This one was, I don't think, a very difficult decision to come to. Britt, I don't know if it was for you, but we gave it to Cale Makar. And for obvious reasons.
I mean, you just can't not, especially when you consider what he's putting out for us this year. I mean, we are just sucking him dry. I don't even know. I was watching the All-Star game and his cheeks were all pink. And I'm like, how are you still so like rosy and young looking? Like you think that he would have aged like 10 years
crazy.
In the last 2 months. It's I don't know. Hopefully it's the right time I was looking at the minutes to see what Tay's minutes had gone up. And it's nice that we saw that decline of their minutes back down from that like mid-December peak, and now it's going back down. So we get them a little rest and relaxation before we go into the playoffs. But now Taze and Makar and Rantanen should have a very, very high endurance level. So
I'm quite excited there for the second half of the season to see exactly what Cale Makar does, because he typically tends to turn on the jets in more clutch times.
Yes.
All the big all-stars do, all of our big 3,
right?
But I'm most interested to see what Cale Makar does. But he's the deserving midseason Norris Trophy from our side of things. So
I'm ready.
Like I said, not a ton to say,
so that he can go back to taking a little bit of liberties when it comes to offense. It'd be nice to see him scoring some more points.
And I think with Bo Byram and Josh Manson coming back, he'll definitely be able to go back to that kind of role where he's just creative. He skates like a figure skater. He just has this finesse about the way he gets open, and good.
I went down a rabbit hole of watching like assessments about like the way he skates and his edge work and stuff. It's so cool,
because you can't use the word like, oh, that was disgusting, that was filthy. Like they fit, but I think the more descriptive words to use were just so, it's just elegant, like
beautiful. That's why
beautiful. You know what I mean? It's just it just wows you so much that it wasn't necessarily on look at how he did against the defender. It's just look at how he does just on the ice. Period.
And it's just it's not loud. it's not something that a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
people can't appreciate, right? But like when I don't know, it's so interesting, and that's what makes me think that he's a really smart guy because I think he understands the science and the just a lot more, about that kind like the edge work and just the way he plays people. Like even they were going into the way he like turns his body like on every stop. It's just it was very interesting. But yep, Kel McCarr's a god. I mean, I would give him the Norris Trophy for the rest of his life, like even after
Oh
he's
yeah.
if it was my option. And I know that we're a little bit biased, but it's hard for anybody to not agree that Kel McCarr, and which sucks
Yeah,
because
you
this year
just
I highly doubt he's gonna even get a nod unless he lights it up in the second half. But
yeah.
just kind of a put your nose down and work hard for this season.
Grindstone
It's not
attitude.
gonna get
Yep.
glorious regular
Yep. I
season.
totally agree. Okay, last one. This is the Hart Trophy. I didn't do the graphic intro there good enough, but I gave this one to Mikko Rantanen
Yeah,
again,
I know.
and you did have somebody else on the docket.
I know. I struggled between the two of them, and I ended up going with Nuke. And I kind of did that with the heavy thought of like most valuable player to your team. And when I considered the change in our team, like, and I know it's not a direct relation to him being gone, but when
Sure,
he has been on the ice this year versus when
it's
he's not
different.
been, it's been
It's very
such a,
different.
and like when you saw the decline of our power play when he was gone, I mean
Mm-hmm.
he's
Mm-hmm.
just that drastic difference from literally if he's on the ice or not. And so I feel like I had to go with him saying he's the most valuable if it feels like we are missing out on wins that we could have definitely had he been on the ice. You know what I mean? If we had
Yeah.
him, it would
Yep.
have been a no-brainer. So
Yeah, and you think about the first, what was it, 11 games or so, 12 games. Nichushkin was on a tear. You
I know
know,
those
that's
stone
like
cold
this guy he was the Mikko Rantanen before Finland
hands.
happened. You know what I mean? And as soon as he finds that groove again, and I don't say if because it's going to be a win,
Yeah.
he's going to rack up goals and points and all that kind of stuff to a point where, just like what Britt said here, he's definitely in that discussion at that end of season to for sure be the guy that the Avalanche depended on. And you're absolutely right. When he wasn't playing, you could feel there wasn't that the train mentality, you know, where it's just a train on the tracks. It doesn't stop for anything, and you give it to him. Dude's a big dude. You know, that's they
No,
call him
God.
Choo Choo for a reason because he's a train.
Yep. So
Absolutely.
it'll be nice to see him just get some momentum. God, it seems like every time. I mean, he
Two
hasn't
steps forward,
had,
one step back.
oh my God,
Hmm.
just please give us 2 months. It would be nice to see
Oh,
most of these guys finish out the regular season without any injuries. And ideally, we could just cruise in being as healthy. I mean, if we're going to be
I
healthy,
hope so.
that's the time. So,
I sure hope so, man. Oh, that would be great. Like that's my New Year's resolution is keeping them healthy. I don't care if I have to fly to Denver to keep just to
I
chauffeur them
know.
around. Like I don't care. I'll do it. So I picked Mikko Rantanen because right now he is your production leader. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And I know the Hart Trophy, in the real sense, it's kind of given to it's your most valuable player.
Yeah.
Right now, granted, that has been skewed in recent history. Well, I say recent history, but let's be real, it's always been skewed that it's more of a
Mhm.
numbers game.
Yeah.
But yeah, but if you think for value and stuff like that, then yeah, I mean, I think Mikko Rantanen, Val Nichushkin, I mean, they're both excellent, but I did pick Mikko because he is currently your production. He's the
Yeah. I
reason
mean,
points
there
are
has been
continuing to
games where,
go.
what game was it that he got the hat trick where you could literally see the
In
point in the game
Finland.
where he lifted the entire team, put them on his
Yep.
back, and just brought his ass to the net and scored a goal. I mean, you could just see
Yep.
that. And I just pray to God he can maintain this when the rest of the crew is back. Don't turn into leaky, like just cheating, hooking,
Yep.
like
Yep.
we've seen that you're capable of so much more. Like stop with stupid penalties and keep pushing. Like you don't need
Yep.
McKinnon as your crutch anymore. Like we don't need.
Yeah,
And I'm
he's proven that he can outscore him in
yeah,
any given season because McKinnon, like I said, he's had that one little injury hiccup, but
yeah,
that's been basically it, you know. So just the fact that he's been able to do this and
yeah.
he's on pace to still outscore McKinnon himself, That to me says he's at least mid-season Hart Trophy
Yeah,
award winner for
he's
Nick.
got to keep it going because he's shown many times that he has the talent over the last few years,
He
but
does.
he's mentally not quite as driven. You know what I mean?
Couple roadblocks. Nope, I totally agree. I absolutely agree with what you're saying.
Like 2 more years left with him. It's
I know, it's like, okay, hopefully that salary cap jumps up like 10 million so we can keep, because ultimately I think we're at a point now, because Miko, he's won a Stanley Cup with us. He's made it to the playoffs a lot with us.
but
I think
he held out until like practice.
He did. He did. And I remember that. But I think this will be a little bit different, that now that the Stanley Cup has been awarded, he's got one. I'm hoping at least that it's different.
The thought of losing him is just like, it doesn't even feel like it could be possible.
Him in a different uniform just does not settle. It wouldn't settle well with me, I guess is what I should say. So anyways, that's the two Hearts that we have. So I had Miko Rantanen, you had Val Nichushkin. Great picks. And that concludes the award ceremony for mid-season awards at the Cluster Puck podcast. We do have just a couple house cleaning items. We do have 3 games this season, this week. I mean, there wasn't a lot of hockey, so now I'm just like, oh, we're not getting a lot of hockey the rest of the season. We have 3 games this week. Yep, and thank goodness hockey is back, because man, I was deprived, man. I'm just like, I need something, like, come on. But they're against, so they're all away at Pittsburgh, at Tampa, at Florida. The one I'm most looking forward to is obviously that Tampa game. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I don't know. The schedule makers were high when they scheduled February for the Colorado Avalanche.
1 million back-to-backs this month.
Back-to-backs.
Oh my gosh.
One of them on the road with, what is the road stretch? It's just so stupid.
I just there's so many. It's just like, yeah, this is going to be, at least for the back-to-backs, those games are going to be pretty tough, because back-to-backs just in general are not easy.
Yeah.
But at least for this week, I don't have any keys to the game, because it'll be the same one key for all 3 matchups, and this is why I'm allowing them the 1 week grace period. But my key to the game for these 3 games against Pittsburgh, Tampa, and Florida is rest versus rust, and that's it.
AKA don't repeat Christmas break, please, for the love of God.
AKA do not repeat whatever break you had, because it just seemed like you didn't really fire on all cylinders when you were out. So hopefully, like I said, they got some good rest. But right now they're on a high wave right now, with the only blemish being that Anaheim game. They have won, what was it now? 7 of the last 8, 6 of the last 7, something like that. So they have that winning wave. It's currently up. Don't let the rust mentality take over. I'm giving them essentially, well, they should be right out of the gates against Pittsburgh here, this first one. That should be right back to normal. But I'm giving them these 3 games, and that's the key, is shake off whatever rust you have and do it fast. And that's it.
Yeah, especially with Pittsburgh's goalie out. Who is it? DeSmith. They'll DeSmith. It'd be nice to light him up. Really, just light him up. But we'll see. But yeah, it's 2 really good games. Panthers, nothing really, but it should be. It's these next few weeks are going to be incredibly telling for how we feel about this as a whole.
Yep. If we're going forward with that win mentality, then I absolutely, like I said, I think our expectation is that they're just right back to winning, because they've hit that stride, and they should be just fine.
Yeah, and the league is everybody's sleeping on the Avs. And they're all just praying to freaking God that we do not get healthy, and that's exactly what I would like to do, and get out there and mess some shit up, because especially after the end of this month, the schedule is substantially easier. So we just need to get through this month. We need to take every game that we can. I mean, we need to probably win at least 25 or 26 of the second half. I mean, we have a very favorable conference. Like we could still be the top by the end if we perform well. and Dallas they're rolling, but they're one Ottinger ankle sprain, groin sprain away from dying, basically. I don't know, but everyone else, Seattle's going to come down to earth. We could very quickly take it back. I really genuinely believe that, and I can be a little bit of a doomer, so the fact that I genuinely believe that, it's not too far out there.
Yep, I totally agree. And like I said, the big key is just focus on your team, focus on you, and just win your games.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, and they just need to find their groove. We almost have a full team, so now
we're almost there.
We just have to figure out what to
we're
do.
so close. To see how those
roll. It'd be nice to see Gerard with Bo, get our little dudes rolling or something. It'd be nice to just see Gerard somewhere that's not with EJ. So he can get a little positivity of life. And then I'll be curious to see if we put the three-headed monster back together. Mac and Leck.
Soon.
Yeah. We'll see.
That's it. Pieces are coming together, and I think the team's going to come together. I'm excited to see what the second half has. So, okay, well, I think that wraps it up here. A little bit longer episode, but that's what Midseason Awards are all about. But thank you once again, everybody, for watching the Cluster Puck Podcast, part of the MHRT Network. We forgot to do the plugs at the beginning of the show, but don't forget to like and subscribe and follow the MHRT Network so you can get notified when shows such as the Cluster Puck Podcast go live. We do enjoy doing these shows with you guys. We love you guys having feedback and comments in the comment section, so continue to do that. If you like what you saw and you want to follow us personally, our Cluster Puck page, you can follow it at Cluster Puck Avs on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow it at the Cluster Puck Podcast on Facebook. And then if you have any comments,
I was going to try to silently
maybe
roll, but no, I don't.
Maybe.
No actual trades. Oh, do we? I thought you said did we before the break. I can't read. Don't mind me.
No. And maybe we do bring that up for next week's episode. That is a possibility. Not a bad idea, Avatar. We like it. But if you liked it, just go ahead and email us with your awards at the Cluster Puck clusterpuckpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear it from you guys. So other than that, I think that just about does it. Have anything else to add, Britt?
No.
Okay, good deal, everyone. Okay, let's look. We're looking forward to the second half of the season. And like we always say, go Avs go. Have a great week, everybody.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Because this party is over.